And this is really fun because you can just kind of spam it. And then it'll just kind of spam and create a bunch of explodable snowballs, which is extremely fun. How you doing, guys? In this video, I'm going to be walking step by step through how to create a Minecraft plugin, a very basic Minecraft plugin, where essentially you throw a snowball, and when you throw a snowball, it explodes on impact. This kind of plugin for me was like the first plugin that I made in Minecraft, so I want to teach you guys how to do that. So what you want to do first, if you don't already have it, is you want to download the JDK. And what we're going to be using in this video is JDK 17, which is Java for Java 17, and JDK stands for Java Development Kit. And essentially, we're going to be using 17 as that is a long-term support version of Java, the latest long-term support version. Depending on your version, for Linux or for Mac OS or for Windows, you want to download the appropriate version and get that set up. And what you want to also do to be able to build Minecraft plugins is you want to download build tools, which is essentially the way you get the stuff you need to be able to build Minecraft plugins. So you want to be able to download build tools here, and then you want to essentially run this command here. In this video, we're going to be using the latest version 1.20.1, but you can use other versions as is explained here. So what you want to do once you download build tools is, as you can see, I have it here, is you want to run this command. And obviously, once you've installed the JDK as well, JDK 17, you want to run this command. Now, what this is doing is this is just basically creating all the libraries and stuff that I need to be able to build Minecraft plugins. And while that's going, what you also need to do is you also need to download an editor to be able to edit and create your Java plugins inside of, basically where you write your code. And click download there, and then it'll download the IntelliJ IDEA, which is a Java development environment, basically to create Java plugins in. So go ahead and download that. So this is finished downloading. It took a fair bit of time, but it will take a bit of time. It took me a couple minutes. But after you finish downloading that, you should see this jar here, Spigot 1.20.1. What you want to do is you want to create a directory. Let's call it server directory. And then you want to copy your jar into your server and go into your server. Cool, so we have that there. And what you want to do after that is you want to run that. So we'll run that. And after the first time it's ran, it will say you need to agree to the EULA in order to run the server. So if we just ls this, see there's an EULA there. So we can go into the EULA, just need to change that to true, and we're all good. So now we can run this again, and it should work. And this just popped up over here. So this is basically the server starting up now. It's Minecraft server, as you can see, it's preparing spawn and stuff. So it's getting the server ready to be used. Okay, that's all started, and we're just going to stop that for now. So it's saving, it's shutting down. Cool, we're all good. So what you want to do after that is you want to open up the editor that you downloaded. For me, it was IntelliJ IDEA. You want to click to create a new project, and we're going to choose Maven. And we're just going to call this test project. We'll put it in MC and we'll make a new folder for it. Project. Cool. And then we're just going to open that. So this is basically where your code will live. And then we're just going to, as you can see, it's using number 17. We're just going to use that and click create. Oh, okay. So group ID. So this is for Maven. So don't stress too much about Maven for now, but just as a basic example, I'm going to go me.james, and the artifact ID will be test project. So we're going to create that. Okay, cool. So this is already finished, and if we were to run this, cool, you can see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's basically, it's running a Java plugin. That's how you can confirm that Java is all set up and working properly on your machine. The next thing that you want to do though is you want to install the Spigot libraries, which is the libraries that you need to interact with Minecraft, into your Maven repository. So you want to basically navigate to this page and you want to copy this stuff here. So this is for the latest version, of course. We go to the pom.xml, which is, as you can see, the group ID and the test project that we set up. And you want to just paste that there. And then you click that little button there. And it starts building all the libraries that you need to be able to build Minecraft plugins. Okay, so now we can get to actually building the plugin. So first thing first, we're just going to remove all this code here. We're going to remove this code here. Okay, so after we've removed all that code, the first thing that you want to do is you want to start with extending the Java plugin. So this is basically a new plugin, right? You've created a main class that extends the Java plugin. So this is a main object that extends Java plugin. From there, you want to go and create an onEnable method. So this method is what will be triggered whenever the server starts. So this overrides the onEnable method in the Java plugin class. So this is how it knows to call it when it first starts. So maybe just test, we're going to print out something, so enabled, and we can also copy that and put on disable as well. So this is when the server stops. Disabled. Okay, and that with a semicolon. Cool. So all this is doing is this is printing to the console enabled, and this is printing to the console disabled. Now what that'll do is when the server starts up, it'll print enabled, and when the server shuts down, it'll print disabled. So let's test that. So what you want to do to be able to build this plugin is you want to go over to the sidebar icon here, click on Maven, and then you want to go into Lifecycle, and then click on Install, and just click that, the green icon there. What this will do is this will create a target directory here, which will basically install your entire Java plugin into your local Maven repository. And then you want to grab this jar and copy that into your Minecraft server. So that's what we're going to be doing next. So in our project here, if we just ls it again, so we go into target, and this is where we see our test project jar here. And we're going to be copying that into our server. So if we just navigate to the server, which is here, and we're going to be copying that into the plugins folder. So if we just copy the test project jar into the plugins folder on the server, then that will be there. So if we just go out into the server, so this is our server directory here. And as you can see, our server directory has the plugins folder there. So this is our entire server, and inside that has the plugins directory. So if we go into plugins, you will see there is no plugins in at the moment besides this one. So if we start up our server, we should be able to see that both enabled and disabled is printed on enable and on disable. So if we navigate into our server directory, which is right there, which is so cv server, and then we run this jar right here, this will start our server up for us, which has the plugins directory in it, right? So if we go java-jar and we start that server, it should start up. And what we should see in this console immediately is we should see that on enable being, this enabled message being printed. So let's look out for it. Okay, so we did get an error actually. We got invalid plugin.yml. So it tried to start the actual plugin, but we forgot to actually write the plugin.yml. So let's do that. So in this resources directory right here, we want to create a new file and call it plugin.yml. And this basically lets other plugins know some details about our plugin. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to create a main. And for us, that's me.james.main. Which is, you can find that out inside the Java directory. It goes me.james and then .main. That's the name of the class there. We're going to write a description, which is, say, test plugin. And then we want to create a version, which is 1.0.0. And I think, is there anything else? I think that's about it that all we need. Oh no, we do need a name. So we call this test plugin. So this is the name of the plugin that we're going to create. We can call it whatever we want, and when other plugins depend on our plugin, this is what they will refer to when they depend on our plugin. So either way, you want to create a file, plugin.yml, that looks like this. And once you do that, you want to build it again. So click the install, it'll install it again, and you want to copy this jar over to the plugins directory. So this is kind of the life cycle. Whenever you build it, you want to copy the file into the plugins directory, run the server, and you'll be good to go. So this is our server, and we should see that it's all good. And we should also see if all went well for us. Uses a space character in its name. Okay, so we can't do that. We have to hyphenate it there, and that should be good. And then after you hyphenate it, you just want to build again. So you build it there, builds again, and then go back and move it again. And this time we should see the enabled and disabled messages like we've expected. Okay, so let's wait to see it. There we go, enabled. See that message? And then when we stop the server, which we can do by just typing stop, we should see the disabled message right there. So that's the enabled and disabled message printing. Now what we want to do next is we want to make it so when we throw a snowball, it will explode. So currently, if we go into Minecraft, so after you've logged into Minecraft, make sure it is version 1.20.1. It has to be the same version that is right here, 1.20.1. So after you've opened up Minecraft, go into multiplayer and type in local host. So you want to also make sure that the server is running, of course, and once the server is running, you can connect to it. Now you want to type in localhost and you can directly connect to it. So this is us joining our server. You can see here that we've joined the game. Now what you also want to do is you want to opt yourself. So opt yourself there and you can type game mode creative, you can fly. And right now, currently, if we grab a snowball and we throw it, we can see that it doesn't do anything, right? Just kind of breaks on impact, basically. But our goal is so that way it creates like an explosion. So that's what we're going to be doing. So what you want to do next is you want to create a listener class. And a listener class is basically something, it's a class that will listen for certain events on the Minecraft server. And the event that in particular that we want to listen for is when a snowball hits a block. And when a snowball hits a block, what we want to do is we want to create an explosion. So that's what we're going to be doing. So to create a listener class, we'll just make our main class a listener class. And to do that, you want to implement listener. Make sure it's from the org.bucket.event class. You implement the listener, and then you want to create an @event handler. And then you can call it whatever you want, public void on, say, block hit. So the event that we want to listen for is a projectile hit event, which a snowball is a projectile. And so when it hits something, it'll fire this event. And now what we want to do as well is we want to first get the hit block. So this will be a block. So this is the block that is hit by a projectile. We import the block there. And then what we also want to do is we want to get the item that actually hit the block. So I can do that by doing e.get entity. And now this will get a projectile equals e.get hit entity. Now, this projectile will fire for every current projectile. So this will fire for like arrows, this will fire for just every other projectile, but we only want to get snowballs. So we need to check to see if this projectile is a snowball. And we can do that by checking its instance type. So what we can do is we can do if projectile, if projectile is not, I don't know why I keep typing profile, if projectile is not an instance of a snowball, then we want to return. And that'll basically stop anything from passing this if it's not a snowball. Then what we can do is we can cast a projectile to a snowball, which we do by doing this, snowball, and then projectile. So now we know that everything past here, a snowball has hit a block. And then from here, we can get the block's location, which we can do by that, or we can get the snowball's location, whatever. But we'll get the block's location, so we'll just get a location, which is again org.bucket, and we can do this. Actually, let's get the snowball's location. We'll get the snowball's location. Okay, so what we want to do after we've done that is we want to create an explosion at that location. So we can do location.getWorld create explosion. Okay, so we can go here, we can do create explosion. So after we've got the world, we can create an explosion with a location and a float. So I believe this float is the power of the explosion. So first let's do that and then do location. And then let's do, I don't know, 5.0. And let's put an F there because that's a float. Why is that? Okay. Okay, so world can be null. So we'll make sure that it's not null. Location.getWorld. And we can import that. Now, if the world equals null, then we can just return and not have to worry about it. And then we can just do w.createExplosion and that error goes away. Now this little yellow line here, so how I've done this casting here is perfectly fine. However, there is an easier way to do it. You can simply just write snowball here, as pretty much every single time that you check the instance of something, you're pretty much always going to cast it. So you can just write the instance variable there and you can delete that line. Now the snowball will work same way there. And this is pretty much the event that will be triggered every single time that a projectile hits a block. Particularly when a snowball hits a block, it'll always create an explosion at that location. So we're not actually done yet. This event currently won't fire at all. This event is perfect, but it won't fire. Actually, we can also delete that because we don't need that. So this current event won't fire at all. So what we need to do is we need to register this class as an event handler, as a class that is ready to listen for events that happen on the server. So the way to do that is you need to get the server, you need to get the plugin manager, and then you need to register events, which in this case is that. So the first class is the instance of the listener class, which in this case, our main class implements listener. So it's referring to this. And we also need an instance of the plugin because our main class also extends Java plugin. Both this and this will work. If your listener was in a separate class, then you'll need to pass, like if this whole thing here was deleted, and it was in a separate class, it was a listener class implements listener, then you'll need to pass your listener instance here and your plugin instance there. But because it's like this, extends Java plugin and it implements listener, then we can just go this. Now this is all we need to actually set up this event listener as to be triggered whenever a snowball hits a block, and when it hits a block, it'll create an explosion. So let's test that out. You want to install the plugin again. So we're going to do that. And we're just going to copy it over to the plugins directory and start the server again like we did before. Now, as we can see, we know our plugin's loaded once it prints out a little enabled message, which it just printed there. So we can go back into our server. Of course, the server closed as we restarted it. So we can go back into the server. And now, whenever we fire a snowball, let's set the time to day. Now, whenever we fire a snowball, it will create an explosion. See? Creates an explosion every single time. And this is really fun because you can just kind of spam it. And then it'll just kind of spam and create a bunch of explodable snowballs, which is extremely fun. I'll upload this plugin class as well as the plugin.yml into like a little repository for you guys to see so you guys can copy. But this is essentially all you need to start your first plugin. If this video helped you, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, do all the things. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. And remember, don't do what you feel like doing, do what is required.